living at home with your parents, do you think that's worth your mental health and mental well-being? Nice. And you can obviously see my green silk shirt. This is like my signature shirt.
I think it is.
Yeah. Cute.
Well, aside from Hannah's obsession with green, welcome back to another episode of BULGOGI Pod. All right, that one was like a 90%. That was still like an A for effort and synchronizing. Like if we were to both jump off the diving, but in grade 4, our synchronizing in the welcome back to another episode.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we'd get a 9.0.
Okay,
you know?
let's go 9.0.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Yes. Well, I feel like I had more than a 9.0 week. I had a 10.0 week.
Really?
I had a great week. It was very full. Maybe I'll start off with things we did together.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. We had a wedding.
Which was so fun. Our friends, Patty, or would you call them friends? It's like
It's
more like
weird.
onni oppa, right?
Yeah, it's I always find it so difficult to explain what an onni oppa is.
Right.
I mean like the Western culture, you call it like your mother-in-law their first name. You call your mom sometimes in their first name. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So they're not friends.
They're
A
like
friend you
almost
respect.
like mentors, you know, but
Yeah.
like more like social, spiritual mentors because we know them through church. So makes sense.
Yeah. And was that our first wedding together?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's crazy. I feel like because nobody in our friend group has like really gotten married yet. And so that was it's momentous, right?
Momentous for sure.
Momentous. Yeah, it was my first wedding with Hana, Gloria, our friend Rich, who's been on the podcast, with Dijung, who's been on the podcast. It was my first wedding with a lot of people. So that was super fun.
Yeah.
I stayed longer than Hana, which is shocking.
This is legitimately a first. This has never happened before.
Yeah. I don't know, like a part of me, because like I kind of gave myself like a timeline, right? Like, okay, I'm going to leave by this time. But I just felt like I had a duty to fulfill. Like as a younger group, I just felt like I needed to represent.
Let's go.
You know?
Okay.
But I feel like I had used too much energy at the start of the dance party. Right, because nobody was dancing, so we were the ones that got it rolling. Yeah, and then everyone joined afterwards. Yeah. So we had that wedding. So congrats to you guys. And then we also had what I thought was a belated Galentines get together.
Me too.
Yes, which it was, but I feel like half of us didn't really dress according to the theme.
Whereas Julie came in her...
Like, I understood the assignment. My Apple Watch band was pink. I pulled out my pink socks. I was in a pink floofy dress. Floofy. I don't know how to... It's floofy, right? Yeah. It's floofy. Yeah. So, I mean, that was really fun. But the story I want to share here, you know, when you're in a group chat with like 9 people and you don't really read the fine print just because they're like, you guys, I literally enter a meeting and I come out of the meeting and there's like 100 messages. So anyways, we had like so many locations we had to go to. We were talking about the Sage. We were talking about getting food delivered. We were talking about another bar, and it got kind of hazy where we were meeting first. Right? And so I go to the bar first, but everyone was at the restaurant. Yeah. And I was freaking out because when you guys said the Sage, I looked up the Sage and it was like
really far.
It was really far.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, no, there's absolutely no way. I'll just skip dinner and I'll just meet them at the bar. So I was at the bar and I walk in and, you know, the person that looked like a bouncer was just like, hey, who are you looking for? And I was just trying to help him out, like, oh, a group of Asian girls. Yeah. So he's like,
there's like 7 of us.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, just like a group of Asian girls. And he was like, I don't think I saw them, but let's take a lap. We take a lap and they're not there. So I text you guys, and you know, it like took maybe like 2 or 3 minutes for somebody to respond, but I didn't know what to do with myself. So I invited myself to that man's table, right? I was
the
like,
bouncer's table?
Yeah. I was like, could I sit here? I was like, yeah. Take a seat. Turns out he owns the place, right? So he's not the bouncer, and he kindly offered me a drink while the Duke and North Carolina game was going on. And because it was Duke, and Duke tends to be like a rival of like Syracuse when it comes to basketball, like we have that whole like, you know, the saying just like duck fook, like F Duke, but duck fook. Like it's just like what we say.
Oh, okay.
And so because Duke was going on, I was just telling him, I just brought up, like I went to Syracuse, and then he looks at me like, I went to Syracuse. And I was like, no. I was like, you went to Syracuse? Because I feel like it's very rare, right?
Yeah.
I mean, here you see everybody in USC hoodies, everybody and their moms and dads and their aunts and uncles and like truly their dogs. Everybody is in a UCLA or USC gear. And so it's very rare to come by people who went to Q's here in Southern California. And so anyways, that was my big, like, it's one of those things where you experience it in the moment and it was just like, like what? But then if you like tell people, it's like,
you had to be there.
Oh, yeah, you just had to be there.
But also, I will say that I think you're downplaying this story. Julie, this man's is literally best friends with you. Like, you were sitting at the bar, you were doing like tasting menu things because the chef was experimenting with dishes.
Yes.
He gave you their signature cocktail on the house. You left to our restaurant, right? To come meet us. And then we went back. We got all-star treatment. It was literally like, here's your table. He came and checked up on us almost so much, like too much, to the point where he was like, I'm sorry, I'm being overbearing. And was like, oh, Julie knows where the bar is. Yeah. Like, Julie knows what's up. Like, Julie, like, you guys are friends.
Yeah, he was very kind.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so that's half of my check-in. You guys, just so many things I'm telling you. And then I was in Vegas for 4 days. And how grateful I am that every Vegas experience that I've had so far has just been so different.
Oh,
very
you got that
different
variety, yeah.
Yes, I truly, like, I could be like a local in the Vegas area, I feel like. So this time when I went,
would you want to be a local in the Vegas area?
Okay, so I think, like, have you explored like the city outside of the Strip,
like downtown Vegas?
Yeah, like they're very nice. Like, because it's such a touristy location, people are a bit rude, fast paced, a bit like on edge. Yeah. But I stopped by the CVS, the sweetest grandma and grandpa, just like, where are you guys? They're just like, they're locals, you know, like they live a little like 15-20 minutes out of the Strip. Right. So it was, and we had a lot of like really good food 15-20 minutes outside of the Strip. And they're just all locals, like all very local. Like, kudos to my boyfriend because like he did all the research and stuff like that.
Nice.
And every meal was so fire. Yeah. And I have never hiked in Vegas before.
Wait, same.
But there's a really big national, I don't know if it's a national park. It's called Red Rock Canyon. It must be
sounds like a national park.
Sounds like a national park. Yeah. Like, it's this huge loop with different trails, and you pay a fee just to go in and just select whatever trail you want to do.
Oh, cool.
So we did one our first whole day and another one on our second whole day, and it was just so cool because the first one was really tough and really hot, and the second one happens to be on the side of the mountain where it doesn't get any sunlight, so there was snow. In Vegas. Yeah.
It does snow in Vegas.
Yeah. It was called the Ice Box. That trail was called the Ice Box, and it was just super cool. So it was just like a very different experience.
Wait, that's so cool. Yeah.
So, okay, that's that. And I'm sharing this just because I thought it was so funny, right? So I feel like people have definitely been going back into work, right? Like, which is with the lax of the mandates and all that. Like, people must be going back to work.
Yeah.
So my Google Maps kept navigating me, even when I was going home from Patty and Johnny's wedding. They were taking me from downtown LA a bit more south to the suburbs locally, right? So I was like, damn, like, is there that much traffic on the freeway that
at like 11 p.m.
Yeah, like I need to go local?
Yeah.
And I did, only because it was still like just like 35 minutes.
Right.
But you know, you're braking a lot, the stop signs, the red lights,
it's annoying, yeah.
Same thing. On my way to Vegas, I had to like stop by my boyfriend's place because like he was taking his car. So even going to his place to the west side from my house, I went locally because I thought like Google Maps was just like finding you suggesting the best route. Turns out, you know how I like hold my phone a lot, my hands clammy, whatever. I, for some reason, had no highways on my settings.
Dude,
no highways.
Dude, that's literally like how I would navigate when I like was scared to drive on the freeway at 15 and a half.
Gosh.
You know what I mean?
So I was just so dumbfounded, right? I was just like, because I was an hour late to our original meeting time for Vegas. I thought that was just so silly. So you guys just make sure that you have your settings correct.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a lot.
That was a lot.
I think we've had completely different like the last 2 weeks because I've been I scared myself. Okay, but yes, as I was saying, I think we've had just completely different weeks. Because I was struggling. I was struggling.
I hate this.
What?
There definitely was a Vine or a TikTok in the early days. You know, when like, I think it's like that, it's in the same vein of like best friends don't have photos together because one is always not feeling themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like...
You had a great week, aka I had a bad week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just rough. Like literally... On like Monday of this week, I got a flat tire. It was my first flat tire ever, and like everything was running through my head. I'm like, oh, I literally got into an accident like 3 months ago, and now I'm getting this flat tire. I have to call the tow truck. I have to contact my insurance. I have to wait for the tow truck. And then so Allie picked me up in the meantime. But then literally I was like, dude, of course this would happen. And then like I usually don't get annoyed by those things. Like I'm very like, okay, we'll just deal with it.
Yeah.
But like I was getting so irritated
At the tire?
Yeah, like literally at the tire, because the man who helped me was so nice. Like one of the nicest people I've like ever interacted with. Like he was so nice. And so even like the tire shop that like I drove to get like the whatever fixed, like everyone there was so nice. Like we were just like making jokes. He was like, oh yeah, as soon as I like put the car down, like let it off the lever thingy, like it just started like beeping. And so we were just like laughing about that and whatever. So everyone was so nice to me. And so I was like, I feel like I don't even like have like valid justified reasons to be upset, but I'm just like upset, like so annoyed. And so like that was Monday, and then I think it was like Wednesday or something, I like for work someone was like, oh like we should, like you guys should watch the Disney Plus short called Wind. Yes. And so if you guys saw it on my story, if you need a good cry, I would recommend that. But I wasn't anticipating on crying. Like he gave me no warning. Like literally afterwards, I was like, "Yo, you didn't even tell me that I was gonna cry." And he was like, "Oh, my bad. Like I meant to just say like you should just watch the first like 2 minutes of it, not finish it." And I was like, "Bro, because there's a grandma in there, and like because of my grandma, I'm very sensitive about grandmas, and just old people in general." And so I watched that, and then Joyce reminded me, like she was like, "Oh yeah, the first 11 minutes of Up is good too if you want to cry." So I watched that.
So
I cried.
Specific. Yeah. I feel like we should provide our Colgies with the list of
like the things to cry to.
Yeah, because we've definitely asked each other.
Oh, others on the list is P.S. I Love You. One Day.
Yeah, that one was so sad.
So sad.
But I feel like A Walk to Remember always makes me.
Oh yeah, really, The Notebook.
Really sad. The Notebook. You know what's so funny? I feel like when I was younger. Okay, well, also I watched it for the first time with my mom. Oh, you know what I mean?
When they're just doing it on the floor.
So she sent me upstairs. Like I remember, it's a core memory. We were watching because it was on like ABC Family or something like that.
ABC Family was showing that.
And then, anyways, so that was like my first memory of it. So I like was hesitant to like watch it again. But then I don't remember crying like that the second time like I really watched it. But like I watched it like recently, like maybe last year, and I was like, it was just like I was just bawling. Yeah. So list of movies to cry to coming soon.
Yeah, or that's some of them.
That's some of them.
That's a majority of them, to be honest, on my end. And so I did that, and then the next day, so like I go to the gym like 4 times a week. So the next day I was like, okay, I didn't go to the gym yesterday, I'm gonna go today. And like I was feeling good about it, but like I'm always a little hesitant when I'm not in a good mood to go to the gym, because I feel like it's so easy to get annoyed there, because like there's one old rude lady, like she's so rude. And it's funny because like even Lauren has said like, oh my god, I have one interaction with her and she's literally so mean. And so I
felt, works there, or
no, she just like is there all the time. Like I was like, dude, if you're here all the time, can you like work on your freaking attitude? Because like you're obviously not getting the endorphins that you need, and so work out a little bit harder, will you? Because literally she's so angry. So she wasn't there. Like I went.
Oh, that's good.
You know, I've adjusted my gym time to not run into her. That's how much she affects me. Like I literally see her and then I start getting hot.
Yeah, know? I know that feeling.
You know that.
I know that feeling.
Yeah,
very
if anyone knows that feeling, you know that feeling.
For sure.
But then, like, it's a different crowd because it was a different time. And these 2 guys were on the machine that I needed. And, I go up, when I talk to strangers, I'm super freaking nice. I was like, hi, like, how many sets do you guys have left? And then he was like, oh, what? Like, he couldn't hear me. And I was like, oh, how many sets do you guys have left? And then he was like, 2. And I was like, okay. And so I like walked away because I'm not going to hover, you know? And then they proceed to talk on the machine for literally 10 minutes. Like, I looked at the clock. I was like, dude, they literally have not done one set. One person hasn't done one set because they're just talking. So I started getting pissed off. And so I went and I was literally Karening. Like, I went and I stood and I hovered. I freaking hovered. And then like after that, Kara FaceTimed me at the gym. And I'm not one to like FaceTime people at the gym because I think it's annoying. But I was just like, fuck it. And so I was FaceTiming her. And then like they finally finished up. And as they're walking away, but like still in the vicinity, I was like, these dudes are being so freaking rude, so annoying. Like, why are you talking on the machine? And I was talking real freaking loud.
Oh my gosh. Do you think they knew?
Oh, absolutely. And then like literally one of the guys was wearing glasses that like, you know, like enlarge your eyes. And I was like, who do you think you are? Like what are you trying to make up for? Like, please go get some context. Like, what are you? Oh, I was so annoyed. And so, yeah, I just think it was a rough week. And then I was like, why am I feeling like this? I'm going to start my period. So that's the answer.
Yes.
And I think it's so invalidating, but also validating at the same time to be like, I can't believe I was this bothered because of like PMS and hormones and all that stuff. But then also it's justified. So it's just a mix of emotions.
It is.
Yeah. So,
it's difficult.
Yeah.
Being a woman.
So we had quite opposite weeks, but that's okay. We all have our on weeks and our off weeks.
Yes.
So,
but I feel like your week can only get better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah.
It was great because check-in not done.
Oh, great.
It got better.
Great.
My week got better because went out.
Yes.
Ended up at General Lee's. And okay, guys, something is always going down at General Lee's. So quick story time. Diane and I get there at 12:30. And it's kind of late, you know, to be like going out. It's like kind of late. And so we're fucking around on the dance floor. Like I'm going like this to her. Yeah. You know this dance? Yeah. I'm doing this, right? Like heartbeat, like Usher,
like,
right?
Was it full though?
It was like kind of packed. And so we're just like messing around for like 10 minutes. And then this group of guys like comes up to us. It's like, we'll call him main guy number 1. No, we'll call him Iron Maiden because that's the t-shirt he was wearing. Okay. So Iron Maiden comes up to us with his 2 friends, maybe Copper Maidens.
Yeah, okay, I like that. I like that.
I like different elements, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, wow, you guys got the best dance moves in here. And literally I was like, yeah, I do. So we're just making jokes. And then he goes, oh, can I like buy you guys some drinks? I'm not going to decline. Though I do not drink, I'm not going to decline on behalf of my friend whom I'm going to give this drink to. Yeah. And so we walk up to the bar. Takes 25 minutes to get drinks. And then like me and Diane are just kind of like, what is going on? Right. And then at one point, Diane had overheard the bartender being like, so I've had these shots ready for you. Like, are you going to pay? Like, where's the payment? Guy proceeds to give the bartender his hand.
Like, he's about to take the card,
but he just goes and shakes his hand. He's like trying to get out of paying for these drinks by trying to be friendly. And you could tell the bartender was not having it because I saw his face and he was like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Are you serious? And so it took another 5 minutes for him to like get the payment. And I was like, dude, if you don't got money for shots, don't offer to pay for other people's drinks. Like, have another friend pay. I don't know. Like, figure it out. And so we end up taking the shots and he's like, hurry up. Like, they have my card. And I'm like, dude,
I don't know. Wait, do you need to finish the drink before getting the card back?
I don't know why he said that. I think he was just like sussed out or something. Like he was like, I need to hurry up and get my card back. But like, it was weird. I was like, dude, that's what they're... How else are you supposed to pay besides giving them the card? Yeah. Right? And so like it was already weird. And so me and Diana are like, oh, like let's go back to like kind of the entrance, like where we were to like just dance and whatever. And so like we all go over there, but like at the same time I was like, okay, we need to escape. But okay, I have a question for you.
Yes.
When guys buy you drinks,
yes,
do you think it's your obligation to like hang out with them or talk to them for the rest of the night?
No. Absolutely not. But also, I feel like if I have been bought, and sadly to say, I just feel like I come off very like because I walk like I'm on a mission.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm not very approachable at the bar, for one. But number two, I feel like the men who have bought me drinks tend to be just like a bit older, who just want to buy drinks. It's not like they're trying to
like talk to you.
Yeah, like I it's not like a flirty vibe, I feel like.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, yeah.
To my memory, though.
Right. And so I also agree with you. I don't think that it's a girl's obligation to like talk to the guy or hang out with them like for the rest of the night if like there isn't a vibe. But I think from a guy's perspective, they feel like we owe them something. Like, I bought you this $10 drink, and so what? The $10 drink means you have to hang out with me for the rest of the night. And so I think because of that obligation, like I was just like, okay, like let's just dance for like 15 minutes. Yeah. Like not on them or anything, but just like, like have a playful time, whatever.
Yeah.
And like after like that time passed, I was like, okay, I think it's time. I think it's been enough time, right? To not be considered rude, right? And then like I'm like trying to think of ways to like kind of escape, and then this girl walks by and she accidentally spills her drink on like Diane and Iron Maiden, and and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, are you okay? Like, whatever. And she's like so apologetic, like so freaking like sorry. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, it's fine. Like, it happens, right? And so I'm like checking on Diane, and I'm like, oh, like, did it get on you? Like, whatever. And then Iron Maiden proceeds to come up to me, mind you, I'm wearing a tank top, and go, are you okay? Rubs his entire hand that is wet from the drink down my arm. And I was like, did you just wipe the drink on me? Did you just wipe the drink down my arm?
Please tell me you said it like that.
No, I did. It was straight up like guttural reaction. And I usually don't do things like that, but like it just came out, right? Yeah. And then I started laughing because I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. Yeah. And he couldn't respond. He couldn't say anything. He was like, no. I was just trying to see if you're okay. And I was literally like, bro. And so that was final straw. Like I was like, okay, we're out. And so I like turned to the guys and I'm like, we're gonna go to the bathroom. And so we go up to the bathroom. It's upstairs. In general, Lisa's kind of set up where you walk upstairs. There are a couple like high chair tables, and then the bathroom, and then the dance floor. We're in the bathroom. We're standing there, and I'm like, do you need a pee? And Diane's like, no. Do you? And I was like, no. So we just stood in there for a reasonable amount of time. And we are like about to go downstairs, and then we're both like, why would we go downstairs? I don't want to talk to those dudes. And so we were going to sit at those like entrance tables, but decided to go into the dance floor in the back right corner by the couches to kind of like, just like hide. And so... I mean,
did the Copper Maidens talk?
Barely. Literally barely. Like, it was weird. Like, the vibe was weird. Like, they kept trying to make me dance to guess what song? You want me to tell you?
Sure. Do you think I would have guessed the song?
Yeah. Think of my like last General Lee story. What was the iconic song in that story? Come on.
Teach me how to Dougie?
Yeah.
Teach me how to... Was it the same DJ?
Dude, it was the same DJ. He has the exact same mix in the same order with the same transitions.
I wouldn't mind that. Because the next time I go will only have been... Well, it would only have been my second time. So. Right. But... Okay, you couldn't just have that memorized.
I know, right? And then you just know what's going on. Like, you know the place. And so, like, one of his friends just, like, kept trying to make me dance to teach me how to Dougie. And I was like, nah. Why don't you try? And literally, he could not Dougie. I was like, that's embarrassing for you. If you're going to ask someone to Dougie, you got to know how to Dougie yourself. Yeah. That's just like common courtesy, common sense. Yeah. And so, anyways, we're upstairs by the couches. Me and Diane are fucking around again, right? Just like doing weird dance moves. Like there was a guy there, like I vibed with his energy and he was just like crazy. And so I was just like, okay, whatever. And then out of the corner of my eye, this is 15 minutes later, I see Iron Maiden and Copper Maidens right behind him. And so I was like, oh shit. I 180 to Diane. Yeah. I'm screaming in her face going, he's here. He's here. The guy is here. She was not understanding. She like did not register his name at all. And so I know that she didn't even know like what his name was. And then she like saw him and she was like, oh my God. So we're start freaking out, right? We're both like, what do we do?
That's so sad.
Right? I was like, I cannot believe you came upstairs to look for us.
Oh no, I meant like the sad that like you guys have to like hide.
Oh,
like
that too.
You know?
No, yeah. And so I turned to this guy who was like, he looked really nice. And so I was like, like these guys, we're trying to avoid them. And they're like right here. Like, can you like help? And he was like, oh yeah. So he stands up from the couch, like on the edge seat and like lets us go inside, right? Like so that we're not on the very outside of the couch. And he's like, oh, talk to my friends. And so we like meet a couple of his friends. Like one of the girls is like, oh, my name is Ari, like and then like the other guy says his name and we're like talking to them, explaining the situation. And Ari was like super duper nice, and even the other guy who was kind of like taller, like bigger build, like he was super nice too. And so we're just like talking to them, and then again peripherally I see them standing literally perpendicular to the couch right there staring at us. And I was like, what the heck? Mind you, this is like maybe 5 feet away. There was a table in between us, but they were maybe 5 feet away. And so they're staring at us, and I was like, this is so freaking awkward. I am just avoiding eye contact. This is so weird. And so I like turn to the guys, and Iron Maiden is going like this. He's going thumbs down. He's literally booing us. Literally booing us in the middle of the club. And I was like, what is happening right now? I cannot believe this is happening right now.
Is he 12?
No, literally. First wiping the drink on me, and then next you're booing somebody? Did you
look back at him and like, did you do something?
So I looked back at him and I was just freaking out. Like okay, guys, I booed Drake at Camp Flognaw that year. I know how he feels now. It does not feel good, right? I was just like, dude, what did we do? Like, okay, I know that we like said we're going to the bathroom and left, but like, can you just like catch a hint? I'm not gonna be like, I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Or like, it did like, okay, like you know what happened, like what really happened, but it could have just been you guys went to the restroom and then wanted to go dance.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, exactly.
Like, okay, so clearly, if he booed you, he probably like he got a hint. He got a hint,
right?
That you guys didn't want to be with Iron Maiden and Copper Maidens.
Yeah, the maidens.
So
why? I don't know. It was so freaking weird. And so eventually the guy with like the bigger build, like he like went up to them and was like, what are you doing?
Like while he was booing?
Yeah. And was like, what are you doing? Like, and they got scared for sure and they walked away.
Yeah.
And so that was the night, but it was so fucking funny. Like literally, it was so funny because like who gets booed? Yeah. Who gets booed after all of that?
Lee's
yeah.
For a shot.
Yeah, exactly. And so I told Diane, I was like, okay, well, we're going to be coming out here quite a bit to establish dominance. They can't think that this is their spot because this is not their spot. I claim it. I've claimed it. Okay, General Lee's?
Okay.
I'm co-owner.
General Lee's.
Yeah.
Do you know, did I ever tell you when Priscilla and I were driving to General Lee's right for your birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did she tell you that she thought we were going to your dad's? Like something to do with your dad's or something like that? Because it's called General Lee's.
Okay, so. I'll open up a sister location called Lieutenant Colonel Lee's.
Okay, I like that. I was thinking more on the lines of, it's not General So's, but General Lee's. But Lieutenant Colonel Lee's fine too.
Right. Okay. So, yeah. So that was the week.
Yes.
Long check-in, but...
All right. Well, at least it went up from there. Well, if you can laugh about it now, it
No. It went up from there
it's
for
a positive,
sure.
Sure.
It was net positive. But speaking of my dad, Lieutenant Colonel Lee, our episode today is going to be a little bit about our relationship with our parents now that we are in our 20s. It's about the time that people kind of leave the nest, typically in the United States. And so we just kind of want to go over what that's been like recently, because we're like all at a point of transition, me and my parents, and I just kind of feel like, especially during quarantine, like one of the biggest learning lessons for my parents has been like, you are a grown adult, we raised you to the best of our ability, and you're gonna make decisions in your life that we may not agree with, but we just have to accept it. Like, it's your life, it's your decisions. And so it's kind of like them having to let go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're saying that's what they realized during quarantine?
Yeah.
Because I feel like so many parents say that, but they don't follow through. I just feel like my parents always say that too. right? It's kind of their like last argument. You know what? I mean, it's your life, but do whatever you want. But it's after they've tried to convince me to go with what they want me to do. What they want me to do.
You see, that's the thing too, is I think on my part, I've realized that like rather than letting them in during the process of it, I make my decisions first so that I cannot be swayed. And I literally, like, if it's like me accepting a job offer, like I will accept the job offer and then be like, I have a job, you know?
Is that what happened with this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think in the past it was like I wanted their approval, like I wanted them to be okay, and like I also wanted them to like help me in the decision making process. But then I think I realized that, like, you know, they don't understand our current circumstances, they don't understand our job market, they also don't understand like what I want in a job, because I barely understand that. And so how are they gonna like make decisions for me almost with such limited information? But you feel like your parents say that and like don't follow through? Have there been like specific instances with that?
I think no, that was just like a general, right? I'm sure like just when you said that, not that it was triggering, but it sounded very familiar, right? It just sounded very familiar, which means it must have happened numerous amount of times. Yeah. But I guess to your point of just we're in our mid-20s and in the US, our generation, because, you know, back in the day, it was like 18 years old, but, you know, like our generation, I feel like this is a very appropriate time to actually, it's a wide range. Yeah. Like I've met a lot of people who move out, but because there's a certain location, there's a specific location they want to be in. So that, but also I know a lot of people who like have left the nest, gone back, or have always been living at their parents until like
they're about 30. To get married. Yeah.
Which I think in Korean culture, it's very common to just like live with your parents until you get married, and then you move out with your significant other. Right. But I want to talk about this now because for some reason, like at this point in my life, like just compared to 2020, early 2021, just I just feel the need to form my own opinion. And a big part of not being able to formulate my own opinion, I feel, is living under my parents' roof.
Right. Because it's still like our house, our rules, right? Like if we're providing the housing for you, then like you have to follow curfew, follow things that we say, and like you're just like generally, even subconsciously, like influenced by their opinions.
Exactly. And this wasn't like a decision, like living at home. It wasn't a decision that they forced upon me, but I feel like for the longest time, just like since I moved back home, the thought process was, okay, because when I used to work in Beverly Hills, you know what? An hour, 20-minute drive, it's not worth $1,500 rent. Right? It's not worth it. Like my parents, like the situations are different, right? For those who, do you say transplanted? I don't want to call them transplant. For those who move to LA from different states, I mean, you have to, right? You have to find a reasonable apartment with good amenities and right, a safe location. And so just being somebody who values security and stability so much, the battle in my mind was always, do I want to save $1,500 at the cost of all the nagging, like the chores, responsibilities, and
mental health?
Exactly, as we saw on a lot of TikTok videos, you know, at the cost of your mental health, right? Yeah. But you see, that wasn't too relevant to me because I have a fairly, maybe I should use past tense. I have still, but more so last year and the previous year, I had a very good relationship with my parents, but that was also at the cost of like making sure I don't push their buttons too much. So when they tell me to get home by 12, like the push is like 1 a.m. You know what I mean? Yeah. If they tell me to come home by 10:30, it's like, all right, I'll be home by 12. Yeah. Right?
And so, wait, do you still feel like it's worth, saving a couple $1,000 at the expense of your mental health? Like, like living at home with your parents, do you think that's worth your mental health and mental well-being?
So, you know, I believe like that things happen for a reason. And I just had so many realizations.
It's the year of realizing things. At Kylie Jenner.
Did she say something about realizing things?
Yeah. And she was like, this is the year of realizing things.
It truly is.
Yeah.
You guys, I think I said this in a previous episode, how I hate Novembers, but like I love Decembers, and like, because this is a continuation of what happened then. And here I am reflecting, right? I guess like 2 large points. Generational difference. There came a point when it was a series of events.
Oh, a series of unfortunate events?
Yes, a series of extremely unfortunate events, actually.
Oh, no.
Like, that could have been avoided if I just didn't live at home.
Oh.
And for somebody who had such a strong relationship, I was about to speak in third person. You know, I had a very strong relationship with my parents. It sucks.
Yeah.
Like, for 24 years, I have this like one type of relationship with specifically my dad. And I don't know where the shift happened, but it was like I was tired from having to drive from the west side to come back home. But I just think with the addition of the podcast, like spending, like devoting my Saturdays to my parents. And I mean, just like with work too, it's a new environment. You know, dating can be tiring. And then my dad hasn't been sleeping much, but that's like, I don't know how to help him with that.
Yeah.
Not that I was like intentionally giving them attitude, but it was just truly a series of unfortunate events where he was giving me so much attitude, but it was truly just like the testosterone doing its thing of
dropping off.
Yeah,
literally
or
just not doing its thing.
Like that.
Yeah.
It just the levels is what I think.
Yeah.
And maybe if I wasn't feeling so anxious or like tired from those other things, I would have received it a bit better.
Right.
But it was truly just like oil and water, right? A series of it.
Yeah.
That got me thinking like this is a sign.
Yeah, because even like what I saw you and your dad like maybe a month ago.
Yeah.
And I could feel the tension.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, like you and your dad are like pretty similar. Like you guys are pretty like happy, like bubbly people. Like once you get in a convo with either you or him, you're there for the 30-minute story, you know?
Yeah.
But he was not talking. Something felt genuinely off. And so has like that tension like just continued? Like you guys haven't been able to solve it?
Here's my issue. Hopefully people understand where I'm coming from. Like when the first situation happened, I was waiting. Not that I was waiting, but that's when I realized, man, I am much more stubborn than I thought I was. And realization number 2. Wow, I'm a lot more similar to my dad than I thought I was too, just because we always joke around that my sister's so similar to him. Like we use it like to hurt his feelings. Like, you're acting like my sister right now. Like, you're acting like Rachel. Or like to Rachel, I'll be like, you're acting like dad right now. Like, and it's like they're offended. They're truly offended by that, right? But for the first time, I was like, whoa, I am so similar to my dad.
Right.
And so we're just playing this game of like not acknowledging each other. And I the more I think about it, I'm getting pissed off because like, so here he expects me to be the bigger person, but like in my defense, I was just like, but he's the adult. Like, so where, like, it just seems a bit hypocritical to me, right?
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like as the parent, and like in the moment, to me, it was more like, well, as the parent, then maybe like it could have been a learning lesson for me, maybe.
Right.
But instead, he chose to be just at me.
Yeah, like
right?
butthurt. Yeah.
Butthurt for a very long time. And I actually approached it first. It was like him, my mom, and me, like a family meeting almost again.
Yeah, with the mediator.
Yep. It was us 3 at first. And then when my sister came back home for winter break, we had another meeting because, you know, when like the fight, this is literally like high school drama. You know, when the fight goes for too long and even though you make up, it's just like not the same anymore.
Yeah.
It was like that. So we had a second meeting because although we apologized, like we weren't saying good mornings again, and we weren't like
it didn't go back to normal.
Yeah, it didn't go back to normal.
It completely shifted your guys' relationship.
Yep. So we had that second meeting when my sister came, and then my boyfriend had like some school event, and I didn't want things to be awkward because his parents were there too, right? So I brought it up again. I was like, "Are you still be just at me? Like, what's like literally what's the issue? Like we apologized. I thought we hashed it twice, but you know, things didn't go back to normal. I mean, did I expect it to go back to normal? I mean, I wish it had, but I knew it wasn't going to be like a switch, right? But it didn't, right? And by his answer, he was saying he wasn't upset, but he was clearly upset.
Yeah.
Okay, you tell me if this means he's upset. I just don't want to talk to you as much. you're upset.
Yeah.
And so I've not that I've given up, but I just don't know what else I can do.
Right.
And maybe he needs to miss me a bit. I feel like I've done everything I needed to do.
Right.
So this brings me to my second point.
Yes.
So like that happened, and I say generational difference because I think he's all about, like, he grew up so Korean, right? I mean, he was in the education system in Korea, like went through the Korean education, but he also was a part of the education system as his occupation. And it's very much like the older person is always right. Like, you need to listen.
Respect your elders. Yeah.
Very, very much. So because of that, right, that led me to not want to be home very often. And I think that really triggered something. Or it didn't trigger me. It triggered, like, it was like an earthquake almost, you know, where it leads to...
Like aftershocks?
Yeah, like aftershocks of realization. Sorry,
you're realizing.
I don't know what else to call it other than realizations.
Yeah.
I just feel like he had me on such a, or not just him, but like both my parents had me on such a...
Like a tight leash?
Yeah.
Was it electric collar?
No, it's another word, like on a chokehold. Is that a word?
Yeah, it is.
Or just like making me feel like it was like my duty to like spend all my Saturdays at my parents' like business.
Right. Help out, do all the front desk stuff. Yeah.
I was just so conflicted. Like, I needed to be home by the time they had set for me. You guys, I'm 24. Like
you've grown. You've been grown.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was trying my best, but it would give me, I feel like that played a role in like my anxiety of like, oh my God, I want you to share this part, but you said, our other friend the other day said anxiety comes when you're thinking too much in advance.
About the future or the past.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think because my actions, I would think about, oh, if I did decide to not come home by the time he set for me, like, what do I need to face tomorrow? Oh. What am I going to say to them tomorrow to make sure they're not upset?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So anyways, to get back to the point, because I didn't want to be home and they didn't expect it either because he's not talking to me.
Right.
Like it was an appropriate time to just kind of do what I wanted to do.
Right.
Come home like as late as I want. I mean, I wasn't out till like 3-4 a.m. but like
midnight.
Yeah, like I just drive home at midnight. I felt like I was free coming home by midnight. Just doing those things, and I felt like it loosened me up a bit. If that makes sense.
Right. Like you were no longer in the chokehold.
Yeah, exactly. I was no longer in the chokehold of like, these are my responsibilities as the eldest daughter. Like,
I have to lead by example. Like I have to like pave the path for my sister. Yeah.
Exactly. But even like, other than like helping them out at the business, I feel like living at home and having that good relationship required me to spend dinners with them, to be present in the house too. Oh. Like it was almost like if I wanted to live there, it wasn't just like sleeping there.
Right.
Like they needed some of my quality time, and I needed to show some face and like
uphold the relationship. Yeah.
And so while I spent a lot of these dinners not at home, right? It gave me space to think, but I think it also gave my parents space to think. And I think they're realizing, like you said, I think they're kind of accepting, oh, that time is coming very soon where now we can no longer tell her you need to do this. Right? I think that transition had slowly begun with the Saturdays, like my committed Saturdays to my mom, when I would have to let her know, like, don't think it's obvious that I'm going to be there, because sometimes I have plans and I try to stagger it. But when people come over our house, you need me present. Like, you need to run that stuff by me because I have my own schedule. Right. And so,
well, to touch upon your first point and like the generational difference, I definitely do think that like there is a difference there, because Julie is scratching her back. She put the mic down to scratch her back.
It was itchy.
I figured. I don't know why else you would just be scratching your back.
I feel like sometimes I like to just touch my back.
Okay, yeah. I feel like there's another human here.
I definitely did this at work today. I was just like playing with my back. But anyways.
But yeah, like in terms of the general squeeze. But yeah, in terms of like the oh my gosh.
Generational. Say it with me. Generational.
In terms of the generational difference, I definitely feel like you probably feel that a bit more than I do, because like, you know, though I like respect my parents, I think that they are like, not saying that your parents aren't like this, but like they are more willing to kind of like hear out like me and my sister, like, you know, they know that they're not always right, especially like, I think like through quarantine, I was just like, you know, though you think that like the way you raised me was like the best that you could have done, and I know you guys have your reasons for it, like I'm still like, you know, like undoing and unlearning some of the things that like I had to grow up with. And so I do like want to acknowledge the fact that like that was probably very hard. And then also the fact that like my mom grew up with maybe someone similar to your parents. Like my grandpa was really strict, and so she purposefully was like, that caused me to rebel and push the boundaries, right? Like push the curfew from 12 to 1 or 10:30 to 12. And like I always was like anxious and scared of like, you know, like what the repercussions would be, like what consequences would be there if like she didn't follow all of that. So she purposefully and mindfully like raised us in the opposite way. Like I never had a curfew. I was allowed like freedom to just like kind of do whatever. And so like I also want to acknowledge that like I think it's really hard to grow up with parents who have like, you know, maybe a more traditional mindset. And then also even the fact that we're friends, right? Because you see that I don't have a curfew.
That was the toughest.
Like, right?
I mean our group of friends,
dude, your parents were at the top.
I think
the
they were
strict
at the top
list.
Well, I mean, I think the thing is, my mom, I think very appropriately adjusted with me for most of the time. Right. I think a part of it was like my great skills of persuading, but I think my mom, like, she's so open-minded.
Right.
And she has
she's
friends
chill,
who has kids our age, so she's also just kind of adapting to what's going on. Right. I mean, I did Easter egg, you know what I mean? Like I told you, like our friends who live with their significant others, I Easter egg that for years, you guys. Like don't expect your parents to be like, I mean, if they're strict, don't expect them to be like, okay. I Easter egg that idea for years, you guys. Bro, years.
Let's go.
Every opportunity I'd get, I'd be like, oh yeah, like so and so and so and so are coming together because they live together on mine, like downtown LA. Oh, so and so and so and so just moved in. Oh, you know, they just moved down there. Like, you know, I take the opportunity. But anyways, I feel like with my mom, the whole explaining myself or just like how I'm feeling works a bit more. But my dad tends to be a bit more traditionally Korean, and it's hard for my mom, right? It's hard for my mom. I think with like, and I'm trying to understand them because, you know, as parents, you want to show a united front. I don't think my mom, I think it would be hurting my dad's feelings if she always took my side. I think sometimes I get butthurt that she takes his side, even though I know deep down inside she agrees with me.
LOL.
But you know, as parents, right? Like you guys are the united front. And so I think like lately she's been probably in the sticky situation. But it's hard because even with like making up with my dad, I don't know how to express my feelings fully in Korean.
Oh my gosh.
And I say fully meaning like, I mean, I could, and I think I could get the message across, like speaking Konglish.
Right.
But then it doesn't do the justice of how I feel exactly.
That's so hard.
It's very hard.
Because honestly, I'm very thankful that there like isn't a language barrier with my parents. And like, you know, I've come to realize even too, like with my grandma, like it makes me sad that I can't fully communicate with her. Because I realized that she's like, I realized recently, like within the last like year.
You realized?
Yes, that she's like very funny, and I did not know it before. Like that makes me so fucking sad. Like, I could cry right now. But
okay, this might be a TikTok coming out soon, but I have to share this on the pod first because you just mentioned how your grandma's so funny. Dude, Korean people be so funny, but you know, like when I was in Vegas, my boyfriend's dad was at the cash register, like paying for our food, and the man was making jokes, right? Okay. But this is a perfect example of language barrier, you guys. The man was like, "Oh, I'll take cash, card, or compliments," and my boyfriend's dad said, "No, Visa." He said, "No, Visa." Cash, card, or compliments. That just made me think of that. But anyways.
And so like I can barely understand my own feelings, let alone communicate them in English. I can't imagine having to process and communicate and translate.
Exactly. So this is where I'm at right now, still living at home.
Yeah.
Right? But you're not living at home anymore. What was it like before moving out? And has there been a difference post move out?
Oh, okay. So first part, I think that like if we had to kind of categorize maybe like the two groups of people, like pre-move out, there are people who have like a very good relationship with their parents and it's like, okay, time to leave the nest, or you fall into like, oh, maybe you don't have the greatest relationship with your parents. Get out of here. Yeah. And so it's literally trying to run away.
Yeah.
And I think that for literally my entire life, like you, it was so smooth. We have inside jokes, like we were like crying, laughing in the kitchen at times. Like it was just such a good relationship. And then like during quarantine, I was having a really tough time. And then, you know, like, mind you, I'm going through like quarter life crisis, right? I don't know what's going on with my career and all of that shit. And then at the same time, like you said, my dad, his testosterone levels, though we have not gotten it tested, I know they dropped. Like they're at 0 right now because homeboy is so emotional. Like he's going through his midlife crisis. So it's just like so coincidental that like we're going through these like huge transitional phases of our lives at the same time. And so it like exploded during quarantine because like I think like, for example, my parents like wanted to ask me like, what's going on with your career, like what's going on with you, where do you see your future? But then they also like know that like we're gonna get into a fight, and so they have a tendency to just not ask me about it, right? Like not bring it up because like we're gonna fight, right? But then I think that it caused like them to like almost resent me. Right? Because if you're not expressing like how you feel, and like my dad at one point was like, I just feel like you're taking advantage of like me and like your mom and like our kindness. And so I was just like
a chip on their shoulder.
And so even like though they weren't expressing it, I was feeling it. Right? Like there's no like, you know, science behind it. Actually, there is science behind it. Like you can like feel like we're tethered to each other, right? And so like we feel like we like we feel what's going on, even
the
if
synergy.
It isn't. No, exactly.
But like in a bad way, because synergy is usually a good thing. But,
right. The anti-synergy, the and-synergy, the assynergy.
Let's go with anti-synergy.
Anti-synergy, And so I'm feeling all of that. And so I think it like just exploded. And so I was like, fuck this. Like I want to move out. But like just basically like move out plans didn't work out. And like eventually like we got to a point where we were able to like openly talk with each other. And like especially like coming from my dad, he was like, I want to be like candid and clear with you, and so it may hurt your feelings, but I think that that is better than like me holding it in and like not communicating. Like I think my dad my dad has a tendency to not like directly ask the person or like talk to the person that he has like an issue with. He has a tendency to like go through my mom. So like my mom would be like, you know, the messenger, or my sister would be the messenger. And so like that's also not clear communication. And so we got to a point where it was like, okay, I know I'm gonna get emotional, but like I'm not like upset about it, I'm just crying. You know
I know
what I mean?
I know.
And so I think like finally after like what, like a year and a half of just literal tension 24/7, we got to a great place in our relationship. Like it was so much deeper than it was initially, like pre all of this stuff, because I realized in hindsight that like it was so lighthearted and fun because we would just avoid all the like necessary topics. And so like once we got to that point, I think it was like, okay, like Hannah, I think you're ready to like leave the nest. And it's like, we want you to like, you know, have your own life, be able to form your own opinions like you said, and like, you know, like experience your 20s, like this is what it's for. And so like kind of with their blessing, I was like, okay, like time to leave. And like it just like coincidentally happened that like both my college roommates, Ellie and Joyce, who like I love, like they're probably some of my closest friends, like we all wanted to move out. And so I think like it was just really great timing. And then in terms of like how our relationship has changed post me moving out, bruh, they are so freaking nice to me. And you know what's hilarious is they even acknowledge it. They're like, wow, you know, like ever since you moved out, like we're so much nicer to you. Because distance makes the heart grow fonder.
It does.
Right?
It
like
does.
you have to make them miss you a little bit. And so now my dad literally is like, when are you coming home? Like has been sending so many my dad found out what emojis are. So many heart emojis. He does like the little like with the hearts around it. Like,
my god.
And like even my mom the other day, she sent a text in our like family chat and she was like, I'm very happy today. I hope you guys are happy too. Like have a great day. It was like so sweet. And to be honest, that would have never happened if like both me and my sister were at home.
Yeah.
You know?
No, for sure. For sure. And you know what's so funny? A parent actually told me this. My boyfriend's mom. Because it's funny. She was saying, you know, you can't always be too obedient. Because when you're too obedient and then you decide not to be obedient, like one time, it's just like a big deal. Because they're so used to you being so obedient.
Right.
As opposed to if you had a child who was never obedient and then was obedient one time, they're just like, oh my God, thank you so much for that
angel.
Exactly. Yeah. And I almost think that's okay. So when I say chokehold, and you know, obviously not really, but I almost feel like that's what's happening. Right? Like I've been just so obedient to my parents' expectations of me that now that I have like a couple differing opinions, or like I said, right, I am realizing that I just want to formulate my own opinions. Just stuff like, let me do what I want to do. Like I don't want to feel so boxed in. Like I'm not saying like I disagree, like not stuff like that.
Right.
But sure, like when it comes to like, I guess especially my situation with my dad from last year, like the way we would go about it, or like how we hash it, like it's clearly very different, right? So because I'm kind of, I don't know, it's like, I feel like it's me being stubborn, but also is it like me being stubborn? It's just like, that's what I think is how it should have gone in terms of like the reconciling process.
Right.
But anyways, because I'm not like being obedient in just apologizing and telling them that it was my fault and like, I don't know, like letting them win the argument.
Right.
I feel like it's a rift. The word I was looking for is like a rift,
you
know? And so I'm not telling you guys to go be disobedient, but I think that's just truly the situation I'm in right now.
Right.
It's like good. Now that there's this one bad thing, it's like,
what are you doing, Julie?
It's like, it's like a nuclear bomb. Like this one bad thing is like,
sorry, I don't think we should use that right now.
It's catastrophic. It's just like such a big deal to them.
Right.
And to me too, though. Right. Because I didn't expect it to be this big.
Yeah. That makes sense. Also, question, do you feel like sometimes you're parenting your parents now?
I have multiple answers. Well, because like, yes, but by parenting, I think I just want to share like the things I've learned recently, the things I've been exposed to recently. And I'm just sharing my opinion. But for somebody like my mom, it'll work.
Right.
For somebody like my dad, he'll get offended.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Like, you know, like he gets so defensive and so offended that I'm here trying to parent my parent.
Oh, interesting.
And I think that's why also those fights escalated.
Yeah.
Because going back, I explained my thought process, right? Like, I think it's very hypocritical and unfair that he wants me to apologize, yet like he's upset at me more because I didn't talk to him for a couple of days, but didn't you do the same thing?
Yeah.
You didn't talk to me for a couple of days. So what makes you any better?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yikes.
You didn't try to talk to me.
Yeah.
And so in that way, I just felt like I do respect my parents, but it just, let's just leave it out. One takes it well and one might not.
Yeah. Because I mean, I asked that because I feel like this has just been like a thought / like something that I've been feeling recently. Like, I feel like I have to parent my parents now. And it's like such a like weird switch because, right, you're used to them like knowing all the answers. You're used to getting guidance from them. But then all of a sudden, like, let's say like I'm having a bad day and like I don't know what to do in a situation. Sometimes like I purposefully choose not to like tell my mom because I know that it'll like concern her more. Yeah. And like almost to the point where it's like her worry and her concern is so much more than I'm concerned about the situation. And I feel like that's because like she doesn't have any control, right? Because like at least me, it's like I'm going through the situation, like I can take the steps and I need to take the steps to like fix whatever issue there is, but like because she like is unable to like actually like what like you know, like car example, like she's not gonna be the one to like find me a tire shop and all of that. Like it's just like out of her control, so like she like kind of isn't able to like keep calm in the situation. And then even with my dad, like I think he's like open-minded and like will hear me out, but like, you know, our parents have like lived like this and have their own theories and philosophies and opinions. And so I think that like even just like trying to introduce like new concepts to them, like like my dad literally just sent a video in our group chat about like how people project their emotions. And in my head I was like, dude, I literally learned about all of this in therapy. And like at the time, like he was anti-therapy, but like slowly I see him like opening up to new ideas and stuff like that. And so I think like in a way, like it's just like a difficult transition phase to be like, oh, my parents are human. Like, oh, my parents have their own shit to deal with. And like, maybe they just had a bad day. Like we all have those days.
It's funny because, okay, now thinking about your question and your answer, I think the very first example you gave was like literal like parenting, as in like being the mom, like making sure they're not concerned.
She's okay.
Like, like okay, you meant literal parenting. I was thinking more like the teaching styles and I will say I feel like, I don't know if other people feel this way too, but I feel like a reason we may have been butting heads a bit more is because, you know, my boyfriend and I are very close. And so I'm learning so much about the way he grew up. I'm learning so much about the way I grew up in the process of learning like how he grew up, because our parents have like met, and like just like watching that interaction and stuff like that, it's very interesting. So obviously like my boyfriend and I, like our relationship is separate. And so although I grew up 24 years like this, or like 23 solid years, like I had to like learn to adjust. For example, like my tone of my tone, right? When I speak, I didn't know it was an issue. My parents, I mean, they have mentioned it, but actually that was always kind of the issue. My tone was always the issue. But even when the tone isn't the main issue, like my boyfriend would bring it up and then I'd get offended because that wasn't even the issue. But he had an issue with my tone, right? And then I bring the tone specifically up because, you guys, a couple days ago, okay, let me just preface this by saying, like, when you have a significant other and you spend time with their family, it's just like, for me, it was kind of a different world, right? Because, I mean, he grew up differently than me. I mean, the parents, the way the parents treat each other is very differently. It's just a different family. It's a different family. And so, you guys, I was in bed kind of early. Like, I had a very, as you saw my check-in, I had a very busy week. And so I was just like so drained. I needed to like recover. So I was actually in bed at 7:00.
Okay.
I didn't sleep until 12, but I was in bed. And it was one of those nights, like I didn't want to talk. So I pretended to sleep. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But anyways, so I'm in bed, lights off. My mom comes home and I think she had a hard day, right? Just like annoying people. So she comes home and my dad asks her a question. And you know, when Korean parents are like, oh, can you hand me that? And you're like, what's that? What's that? Oh my God, hand me that, right? Similar situation. My mom was like, oh my gosh, she blah, 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 blah. And my dad's like, oh, who is she? And my mom's just like, I just said it. And they're just like kind of yelling at each other. Like, okay, and the tone of voice wasn't like a yell. It wasn't like it wasn't like that. It was just like,
it just got louder.
A louder, a very sassy, attitude-filled. You know what I mean?
Tone.
Like in Korean, the perfect word is jajung, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Like frustrated almost, but like a little angry. But
is
like,
just like, yeah, your tone of voice is like, you could take it offensively if you're speaking to the wrong person.
Right.
Just like a mixture of whiny and frustration and
maybe like annoying.
And they're both just talking to each other back and forth, back and forth. Oh, I'm going to go upstairs and change, like all in Korean. And I'm just like, I'm laughing at this point, right? Because I just would have thought like, the old me would have just thought, oh, my mom had a bad day. We have to be careful. Like, don't aggravate her more, or else you're gonna be in the
hot seat.
Yeah. And so I was just like, man, truly, the apple does not fall far from the tree. I mean, I always know, we've talked about it multiple times, but they always say my sister learns from me. Well, I must have learned from them, but just like my tone, my defensive reaction, my agitated response, like, I mean, it was a direct like byproduct of both my parents.
Wow.
And I feel like getting to the point of, I feel like we've been butting heads because I feel like more and more I am being molded into a person that is still that Julie, but with the influence of like my boyfriend, obviously. Right. And obviously he's expressed to me he does not appreciate it when I talk to him in that way. So I'm trying to change that, right? So when my parents talk to me like that, I don't like it. Right. So then I bring it up like you can tell me to like do something without so much sass and attitude. And then they're just like, excuse me. So that's just like an example, but
I can completely understand that, because I think that in maybe like a bigger like spiritual kind of way, like people often say that like after you've done like a lot of growth, sometimes like people's tendencies will kind of trigger you because it brings you back to like your old self. And so I feel like maybe like with you, like you get triggered because you're on the other side of it now. And so you're able to see it.
And I mean, like with my parents, that works. Growing up, it worked, right? But now I'm adjusting to my own lifestyle apart from like my parents almost. I mean, I'm not going to live with them for the rest of my life, right? And I think that's why it's been difficult.
Oh, that makes sense.
So I wonder if other people feel that way too. When they start like working on themselves to make their relationship work and for their relationship.
Yeah. I think like if I can relate, like even with my whole therapy journey, I realized at a certain point, and I like talked to my therapist about it, like I would be so excited about all the things that I was learning and I would share with my family. And their like response was not like the one that I was looking for. Like they would just like basically, it's devil's advocate all the way. Like there's like, nah, it's not for me. So I shared that with my therapist and she was like, you know, like sometimes when you do a lot of growth like this, like people don't understand. So like it may just be better not to share. And so I kind of learned to like, you know, hold back a little bit. And so so that's where we both kind of are. Just this sticky, or I don't want to call it sticky. I think that's just it's just
a
the
lot
phase of life we're in.
A lot of our parents had us like, I'd say like mid-20s, late 20s, and around the time they're losing testosterone, and when we have our quarter life crises, like
it just happens to align. It do be rough out here, but
yes.
I hope that, I mean, in general, I just want to say that like I hope that you guys, you know, still respect your parents and like know that they raised you in like the best possible way. Like nobody loves you more than your parents. But at the same time, like if you guys are going through this, I hope that you guys are able to kind of like take a step back and like have empathy for them, because like they're human, and also for your own like sanity's sake, that you're able to set some sort of boundaries with them. I know that may be difficult depending on your situation, but like hopefully they would be understanding. Also, my mom definitely listens to this podcast, and so I love you very much. I am happy that you're happy. And I hope that our entire family continues to be happy. Amen.
My parents don't listen, but
even my mom's friends listen. So hello to
I know.
To Aunt Kathy.
Yes, they
as
listen.
Well.
Yes, they listen.
Janie Mo. All the aunties. So
maybe we could all learn from this.
Ew.
Or maybe they're laughing at us. I don't know.
I know. They're probably like, these silly girls. Okay, well, you guys can go ahead and follow us on TikTok and Instagram at bulgogi.podcast, on Twitter at bulgogipodcast, me on Instagram at HANAKATTT,
and me at BJULIFIED.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, no, that was too high. If for a second it reminded me of the IMAX.
Like, okay.
That was pretty good.
That was really
Didn't that remind you of like the intro IMAX?
Wow, we're good. Amazing. Okay. Bye.
Well,
bye, everyone. See you.